Okay, so this is Jesse. Jesse did his session visually. So I can't remember if it was Zoom or WhatsApp or FaceTime, but anyway, we could see each other. And I put him, I want to say late 30s-ish, like around there, maybe early 40s. And he said that at the very beginning of the session, he says, I've seen your show. I've seen the podcast show. He says, my partner watches it. And I've heard it in the background. And sometimes I sit and I watch it for a minute or two with them. So I know, from watching it that people can ask about what their soul contracts are. I don't totally understand it. He says, but from listening to some of the shows, I feel like you're just going to give me information if I say soul contract. So there was a little bit of knowledge, not a lot, some openness to it. And he just said, can you just tell me what you get if I just say that?
That was actually very well done.
Yeah. So that's how he started it. And I took my pen and paper, and the spirit guide said, just write a bunch of things down on the page from us. And I went, oh, okay. So I wrote on a piece of paper. I think it was things like that he wanted to know what the soul contract was for himself. And he referred to it as his partner, and they said, well, there are two. But he doesn't think you're going to know that. So he's nervous because he knows you could. Mm-hmm. He just doesn't know if you will. So we want you to write down that he's married and that he wants to know the contract with his wife. Okay? They said, put down child on the page, but we're not too certain if that's actually going to come up about what the contract is. But he does have a child, and that will just be a validation. Mm. Okay? And that's also a relationship that's going to be affected by all of this. So technically, it could be reasonable. And they said, put down career, put down his job. And I said, oh, he is working. Some people make an assumption.
I don't think anyone's making an assumption right now.
Oh, so true with COVID. So I wrote down job and that he wanted to know his soul contract about his job. And then they said, well, he's been having an affair for a very long time. Put that down on the page too. And I went, okay. So they said, check in with him and just ask him if this is what he's interested in to kind of see if you can give him those validations because there's two in there for him. Mm-hmm. More than that, actually. All of them are because I don't know anything about him. But he makes some assumptions about psychics. He thinks that there are certain things that everybody is. Like everybody's married. Everybody has a kid. Everybody has a job. Ugh. And it's like, well,
some of us don't want those things.
Yeah. And some people are single, like by choice or otherwise. Like, anyway, I think, though, that it's good for people to hear that because some people out there listening might go, yep, that would have been me making that kind of an assumption, right? Because that's my situation in my friend group.
Right.
Right? So I said, well, I'm just going to read you the list first as to what the guides say you're actually interested in, and we'll see how it goes from there. So I read the list about all of those things, and when I got to the point about, and that you are also asking for the soul contract in an affair, and I said to him, this is a long-term relationship. This is not short-term. He just looks at me stone-faced. And it's just literally like, even Kelly, to the point where the eyes won't now blink. He just kind of, and he makes sure that his facial muscles around his, like a smile, stay very neutral. Mm-hmm. So that it's almost a grimace. And the guides go, and there it is. And I'm like, there what is? And they're like, look at that face. And so I'm just looking at him intently as he's looking at me. But I'm looking at him because the guides are like, no, take a really good look at that face. Okay. And I said, well, what am I looking at this look for? Because that's the look he gives people when he's caught. That's what he does. He freezes. He gives the empty eye, and he looks right in your eyes to see, does she know? And he stares right into your pupil to see.
I'm not enjoying this.
Oh, it's nasty. And he won't smile or frown. He won't speak. He goes into silence. He's a withholder. He's going to avoid. He's having a freaking meltdown, but he doesn't want anybody to know. He does this at work. He does this with his child. He does this with both of his partners. And he puts himself into a freeze. But in that is all kinds of verbal abuse. And he doesn't know that it's called verbal abuse. He just wants to block them from being able to read his emotions because he knows with all of these people that he's triggering them.